So good evening everyone and good morning to Spursh. Today's session will be on data cloud, an introduction session on data cloud. So firstly, thank you everyone in Spursh for joining us on a Saturday evening. So so let me introduce myself. I'm Swati Agarwal. I'm working as a senior Salesforce consultant at Marlabs. I am 9x Salesforce certified developer and consultant. So I have mentioned my Twitter and LinkedIn IDs. You can reach out to me on the mentioned ones. Along with me, I'm having Sandhya Sambiswan. She is a Salesforce architect at UST. She's 6 certified application architect. Sandhya's IDs are also mentioned over the window. So, what is today's agenda? So, we will be going to discover what is data cloud. As you all know, that currently AI data cloud is everywhere. So, Spursh will going to give an introduction about data cloud and its key features and terminologies and how it transforms data. So we'll be having a question and answer session. So I would request everyone to please put your questions in the Q&A tab. So at the end of the session, Spursh can answer all those things. Here I've mentioned LinkedIn and Twitter IDs and also mine and Sandhya's CGL IDs. You can write us on these and tag us about today's session in the Twitter and LinkedIn. Also, if you want any specific session, you can just mail it to us so that in future we can have that particular session. So talking about our speaker, today's speaker is Persh Bhatnagar. He is a senior Salesforce consultant at Capgemini UK. So Spursh, LinkedIn and Twitter IDs I have mentioned. So you can reach out to him post the session for any of your doubts. And stay tuned for his upcoming webinar sessions. Spursh is giving data cloud and other topic sessions. So I'm sharing my screen and you can just continue with your sessions, Spursh. I'll just stop
Okay.
sharing.
Just a second. Just let me know when you guys are able to see the screen.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'm Sparsh Bhatnagar. I'm a 19x certified Salesforce consultant. I'm working as a senior technical lead at Capgemini. And yeah, today we are going to cover data cloud. This will be an introductory session with while we are also kind of do a slight deep dive into data cloud, how it works and how the terminologies are. Okay, so that's basically our agenda to understand what data cloud is and its terminologies. And I'll be doing a small demo if you have time. And yeah, at the end. So let's start with what is data cloud. So as per Salesforce definition, say data cloud is hyperscale data cloud engine, data engine that brings your company data to Salesforce. So this whole paragraph is a Salesforce definition that you can read. But what actually data cloud means by it, if you guys have heard in I think 2021 or 2022, they introduced Salesforce Genie, right? And nothing much came out of it during that time. But what they have done is with existing Salesforce 360 model that they have, and combining it with Salesforce Genie, the product they developed, and they have come up with the product by combining them to is Data Cloud. That product is now called Data Cloud. Earlier it was CDP, but now it's called Data Cloud. And what's the main purpose behind Data Cloud is it is supposed to be your central source of code data repository where you actually do some analysis or analyze your data which might be coming across multiple systems. So Data Cloud's purpose is not just only to connect your Salesforce orgs, it is supposed to connect all other vendors and other integrations or things like that have wherever your data resides. Either it could reside on an MDM or a Informatica some base or some other Azure server or a Amazon server or a Google server, whichever database it resides on. And getting all of the data in one place is the data cloud's job, and then on top of it analyzing it. Okay, next three, four slides will be Salesforce slides, just to talk about some efficiencies related to automations, AI, which is a big part of Data Cloud. Data Cloud is fully automated, kind of. It doesn't really require much of a coding. If you can code, there are technical things related to it, technical epics, libraries, and things like that. But most of the times it can be configurable. So yeah, from Salesforce definition, with everyone can see the AI wave that is going on right now. With AI, a lot of automation can be done, a lot of productivity can be increased with all of the automation that can be, that earlier used to be a person job, can be done through AI. So Salesforce just came out with these figures some time back, that this much productivity, this much AI can reduce cost and also saves time. Yeah. And around that, like with this AI and the data going on, Salesforce does predict that the customers market, I think this survey is a bit old now, it might be a bit more data, but Salesforce had predicted that with 2025 there might be 100 billion zillions of data around customers and companies dealing with around for a customer. That data can be around identity, their purchase, their service case data, health data, their engagement on mobile, and something like that data. So a lot of data about a customer is available in the world. So there are a lot of firms that are facing these kind of problems where data can be put into one place. And for most of the people that are technical, right? So that's where this is kind of important. For with Salesforce, what it predicts is a lot of time when is spent on integrating with systems, right? With data cloud features, you can directly integrate with systems just by doing a configurational steps. So it comes with in-house features that enables you to connect with a large variety of systems, and quite some systems, and a lot it can be extended via MuleSoft. So a lot of just point and clicks integration, which does predicts that you are saving a lot of time writing code to write integrations to systems, right? So it in turn you are getting very faster development, less maintenance cost, less of security and things and issues, and you can directly get on to work with data cloud. Okay. So Salesforce, there says that we have three base phases where we actually do work in data cloud. Is first is connect, second is harmonize, and third is activate. We will further divide these phases into six phases, basically with which are our building blocks. But just on base level, it starts with connecting to a system. It can be a Salesforce, it can be any other system. Harmonization starts with understanding what you have connected. Okay, now we have connected so much, but what does that mean in terms of Salesforce? So just getting an understanding of that. And activating is the part where you take more AI features into place and you say, okay, out of whatever I have digested, out of whatever I have taken into data cloud, what it is the beneficial data, like what is the productivity out of it. So doing an analysis and performing some automations on top of it is your activation phases. So with all this, Salesforce says that you each employee or a person user who's using Salesforce can save at least 1.5 hours a week or even more, depending on their use cases. Right. So let's say this is kind of the main slide for this whole session. So we will be reiterating everything in this part and dividing them into in different implementation phases. So our data cloud, how data cloud works is, so we have these six phases starting from the left, where we can see it starts with data sources, then connect and harmonize, unify, analyze, and predict and act. Okay, so for data sources, you can see there are a bunch of icons there. Okay, you can see some health cloud, commerce cloud, some Redshift, MuleSoft, mobile apps. So what do we mean by data sources? Data sources are our endpoint systems, basically the system that we are trying to connect to. Okay, so for data cloud, any data source where from which the data is coming to, right? In data cloud can be a data source, right? And for people who are implementing data cloud, if you have a sales cloud, let's say service cloud, a marketing cloud, so you already have sales like Salesforce clouds, you might not even have to do much connection. What when you do data sources connection with data cloud, in if there's a setup called data cloud setup, it is already enabled for you. All you just have to do there and go and click and connect. So I'll show that in a demo later. So let's say you have all of these system, your data is coming from a Google server. Okay, so your data is coming, you have your system identified. Okay, you have parameters you have identified. Once you have those identified, you connect it to data cloud. via streaming or a batch process. Streaming process is more where when we are dealing with the real-time data. Batch is more a process where we are dealing with the large-scale data. Okay, in a big batches, a bigger look back window where streaming data will be a real-time data, batch data will be let's say 10 days old data, 2 years old data, something like that. So let's say I have just put connected the Google database server with Data Cloud. Now, what I do is I do a harmonization phase. At this phase, Salesforce Genie works into play. So whatever the things, fields, and objects Salesforce understands, it automatically maps to Salesforce. Okay, so let's say I have an account data coming from Sales Cloud to Data Cloud. So what it will do it during the harmonization phase, which is basically your mapping of whatever you have ingested to data cloud objects. So data cloud objects will be our base, which where it understands the model, okay, the object model. So we map those objects which we have ingested in harmonization phase. So that's why we call it this is a data model phase, or the objects to which we will map and relate and connect the outside objects to our Salesforce objects will be called data model objects. So let's say a lot of that mapping will be done by you for itself by Salesforce Genie. And you can do drag and drop easy. I'll show that connection, how that easily is done in the demo as well. Okay. So once you have that harmonization already established, now you have connected all of the data that objects that you were getting to your data cloud objects. Okay. And why we actually did that in first place? Because if you know, the way data cloud objects works is it's not an denormalized data. It is a normalized data. What do I mean by denormalized is in Sales Cloud, let's say, or Service Cloud, we have an account record. That account record has account contact information, account phone number, account email address, account address information, all of a lot of data is related to account in one single record. A normalized record will be that particular record details are divided into different tables. So account contact will be a separate object where you say, okay, this account, its email address, then account, and a separate table will be account and its phone number. So different objects. So this is a normalized form of data. So Data Cloud only understands normalized data. So all this mapping will be done in a normalized manner in Data Cloud objects. So once you have that established, this is the next part is a very important one where we actually understand, okay, we have ingested the data from 10 different sources. Okay, the 10 different sources is giving me information about one single customer. Okay, across those 10 different systems, which is the right one for us, which is the most important email, which is the right person of contact, which is the right person phone number, best place to reach a person, best place to email that person, because data might be coming from a person, might be having different details in different systems. What's actually the person's preferred name is, how they want to be called, how their first name is. So all of the data about that person is coming from different systems. So now at this phase at Unify, we understand the single source of truth for the customer. So we are getting data from multiple sources. This is where we do some match rules. Something like if you guys have worked in Salesforce, you might be aware about duplicate rule matching rules. Similarly, we create something called matching rules here, which match different data to one single record, and it will the data cloud will run this automation in the background to summarize all of those records into one single record based on your matching rules. So the better the matching rules you have, the better your matching criteria of understanding different records will be. Okay, and there will be something more, one more thing that is called, that is reconciliation rules. So reconciliation at this phase is generally called a priority setting. So you understand, right? I have email for 5 different emails. Which email gets the priority when I want to contact? So you can either set if the last updated, or you can set, okay, I want Sales Cloud email as the most prior one. So you can set priority between different data to understand which gets more priority in the scale when we are doing this unification. Okay, so once you have this single source of truth about a customer, a perfect record about a customer, when you know, okay, this is the detail for my customer is, now your next phase starts, which is basically analyze and predict. So all these phases before this, what we have done is we have connected different a lot of data and put it into one single object to understand one customer. But what value I can bring out of that one customer details, right? I can say, okay, I can create an analysis on who is the most spender or who is getting most issues in the system. Okay, let's say I have a real time scenario. If a person is trying to click on a web page 5 times, troubleshooting 5 times. So the system might notify Data Cloud in real time that in last 10 minutes window, this person has tried to troubleshoot 10 times or 5 times. Okay, let's give him an email or send him an email or a phone call or email with a link of directly connecting to us with a chat or directly giving him a helpline number so our team can help him out much faster. So this way you will be able to understand and help a customer more. And coming into the scenario, if you have a lot of data, so let's say you want to understand who are our biggest spenders, who are our most loyal customers, who are our most regular customers. So different kind of data around a customer you can all analyze and do this by directly automation, which is still drag and drop stuff. And at this phase, what Data Cloud does is, as if you guys have worked with Salesforce, you might be looking at, okay, in Apex, we have SOQL, okay? But in Data Cloud, they use SQL, okay? Here you get an ability to perform joins and different things, which functions and things like that, that can be done in Data Cloud. And it works on SQL language, not an SOQL. Okay, and once you have, let's say I have all of this analysis done about the customer. Now, what I want to do is I want to perform some automation actions. It can be an automated flow, letting my marketing cloud know that, okay, this campaign has performed really well. We should be pushing this campaign to new users, right? So through apps, through actions, through things like that, something called activation, we can perform these actions and letting our systems know, or whatever the target system we want to be, to perform some action or give them a report or give them a feedback or let the customer be notified or let our agents notified that they need to act upon something. So all of this is your Data Cloud. So getting a lot of data, understanding that data, then doing an analysis and prediction on it, which also is an AI and things running in the background with a lot of automation features, then acting upon sending directly to a third endpoint system, which again would not be an integration you can directly do through automation activation from Data Cloud. All you have to do is just establish a connection, which I'll show that later. Okay, so now we do, if you want to implement a Data Cloud, okay, so we go through different implementation phases. Okay, first phase is our ingestion phases, which would be the first two phases I showed in the previous slide. Is ingestion is where you connect your data source with Data Cloud. Okay, so if you can see in this slide, you can see data source objects. So whenever we are getting something from a third party system, let's say our Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Amazon, or whatever system it can be, we will say them that as our account coming from a Sales Cloud will be a data source object account, right? So it's just a terminology, data source object from which is coming to. So once you have connected that system, it will be deciding something called into a data stream. And the names are like that. Data stream is, you can understand, there is a stream of data coming from some system to us. It's more like a river stream flowing going to a lake. Okay, so once you have the system connected, that will be connected in something called data stream. Okay, and once while you are connecting this, you can apply your transformations, you can apply formulas, because generally later, once you have already connected, you would not be able to apply much more formulas and manipulation of data which is coming in. So if you want to manipulate your data while it is ingesting, getting into Salesforce, already apply it through formulas. Okay, and once all of that is done, you have ingested your data on a real time, on a bulk level, on a batch level, but all of that data will be residing into one single object called data lake object. So data lake object is a very big repository of your raw data and details about your objects and detail about the data. So it is a big Salesforce repository where every source, every data, every object will be residing. So once you have that, okay, but before doing that, how do we get a new data stream created to a system? So this is an ideal window. I'll show in my demo, it will be a lesser systems because I have a demo org. So let's say you have wanted to connect to a marketing cloud. You want to connect to a sales cloud or a mobile app, all these ingestion API, interaction studio, or an Amazon Web Services server. You can directly click, do a next something step by step wizard, and you will be directly able to select which objects you want to connect to, what things you want to ingest to, I think. And you can also see there's one more thing at the bottom is MuleSoft endpoint exchange. So I'll showcase there's a big list of MuleSoft endpoints which you can directly connect as well. So Data Cloud comes with a lot of inbuilt connections which you don't have to worry about setting up new integrations for. Okay, so ingestion timings. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Is okay, I'm ingesting my data into Salesforce, but at what frequency? So real-time data can generally be ingested every 5 or 15 minutes, or 2 minutes, depending on the system you are connecting to. On a batch level, generally you can connect to any amount of data, but specifically Marketing Cloud in this consideration. Marketing Cloud, you can only look at last 90 days of data. If you want to look more further, generally the implementation approach in these cases for Marketing Cloud is data load everything initially for before 90 years, 90 days, not 90 years, 90 days. And once you have that data established for older than 90 days, then you can every day look back for last 90 days. Okay. And upsert full refresh is something like you want to update the data or refresh the whole data. And similarly, you can set frequencies. One consideration when implementing Data Cloud is you can connect any number of CRMs. You can, let's say you have 100 sales clouds, if some org has, or 50 sales cloud, 50 service cloud orgs. You can still connect all of them to Data Cloud. Okay. But the only limitation here is you can connect only one marketing cloud. So if you have two marketing clouds, because marketing clouds is generally considered the main cloud. So generally you can only have one parent CID. So in this case, you can only have one. If you have two marketing clouds, then you have to associate two data clouds, right? But what Salesforce have enabled so if you configure Data Cloud in one place, you can also deploy that configuration, but it has to be a separate Data Cloud. Okay, I'll do a small demo at this point. Okay, so this is my Data Cloud org. So what happens is you can see there's one more thing called Data Cloud setup. Okay, what happens at this phase is you can see Salesforce comes as when you want to integrate, right? A lot of systems are already available to directly connect to those systems, out-of-the-box systems. Okay, let's say I want to connect to my Sales Cloud. This is a demo org. Okay, so it already fetches detail. I have this partner org, which is already connected to the system. So I don't even have to do. So if I had 10 different orgs, it will already show if I want to disconnect or connect again initially and what kind of bundles I have. If I would have a marketing B2B commerce, I would have just had it here, or I could directly do a step-by-step visit by entering username and passwords and things like that and establish those, right? It also connects with the Snowflake. Salesforce identifies Snowflake is a really good warehouse. So if there are companies who have already implemented Snowflake, they can also link those Snowflake directly with it. Okay, so let's say you have established your connection with your Salesforce Sales Cloud in this scenario. So what I have done is I've connected, for an example, an account, lead, and contact from my Sales Cloud to Data Cloud. How it happens, right? For me, I don't have much systems, but you can see for the MuleSoft, the list of systems, there's a big list of systems that can directly be connected to MuleSoft to Data Cloud. And it's a good list of systems that you can directly connect. Okay, so let's say what do in Sales Cloud scenario. Let's say I've selected Sales Cloud. Next, what all I have to do is, if I already have a data bundle, generally Sales Cloud comes with sales and service objects. Okay, I can directly install those objects into my data stream, or I can also pick a custom object, something like that. Let's say I want to see account partner. What I'll go is I select the fields I want to ingest. If I want to create a new formula field, different type of data, profile, engagement, that all it means is person data Engagement data is orders, rated data, or something else. Okay, close. Yeah. So this is the process where we are ingesting everything. So once I have connected, done the setup for account, my data lake object will be created as well. This will be having all of that data into Salesforce. Right now I have not run the process, but yeah. Okay. So next phase is our data model phase. Data model phase is, you can see, let's say I have an account information coming in. So what Einstein Genie and this AI has done is, it has auto mapped all of these fields to the objects that we have in Data Cloud. So all of this account information is further divided into different objects, where it is a normalized form. It is in normalized form. So you can also do something. If something is not mapped, you can also click here and just drag and drop, or you can also associate it to a custom object or create a new field at this level for Data Cloud, not for the ingested side. For Data Cloud, you can also create a formula to understand or create a new field to hold that value. Okay, how that looks like in Data Cloud. Okay, so let's say I open up my account. You can also access from the tab here, or you can also access from the data lake tab. Okay, what you have done is, okay, I've clicked rest for account. What it has done is, it has already selected these connections to these records, and I can also delete them and edit them. So let's say I want to create a map to a different field. Okay, I have, let's say something called, let's say owner ID. I want to map to, let me see a field, let's say owner. So all I have to do is just click here and click here. It will form the connection for you. Okay. It is as simple as that. It becomes tricky to understand which fields will be mapped to which, but the mapping part is quite easy, right? There's another wizard where you can directly map, but this is a much better wizard to follow in Data Cloud when you are doing the mapping. So it's very easy. Yeah. But just the main part, the biggest challenge while implementing this data modeling is to first understand on a list of objects how you want to map and where you want to map. Okay. So in this scenario, let's say I had some contact information, first name, last name, mailing street, subscriber information, sorry, and guest information and everything. I'll be mapping that based on relevant objects I find in Data Cloud. And once I have all of that map, what I'm doing is I'm going down to my next phase, which is identity resolution, which is I unify that unification phase that we had. Okay, so this unification phase, what we are doing is, I have this person whose contact information is this, that person's name is a bit different in different systems. That person has multiple mobile numbers. That person might have a multiple emails or a different address. So I have information coming for that customer from different systems into Data Cloud. That might be residing into different objects. So what I did at that level is, I will create some matching rules at this level, which will be, okay, that person's individual first name, I want to do a fuzzy match and things like that. If you have worked with matching rules, so you can create different matching criteria. Salesforce also comes with, Data Cloud also comes with some predefined criteria, a list of different 4 options you can directly pick from. Okay. So once you have that criteria built in, you will get a unified view of a customer, which will be, okay, this is our person, this is our email, that's our telephone number, which phone number gets more priority, which will be setting it up by reconciliation rules or something like that. Okay. And at the end, you will see there's a big number. When you are running these identity resolution rules, these are heavy chunk of background process. It will take a lot of time. If you have a lot of data, depending on that, more time it will take to identify, unify those customers. And this runs based, you can also decide on how frequently you want to run this process, every day, every 2 days, or something like that. Okay, but at this side, you can say, okay, I have 450 million, 489 million of records. Okay, in my data. Then after resolutions, doing the identity resolution, we were able to crunch down that number to 378.6 million unique records. So it will tell you that how identity resolution is performing, how much data it is able to identify, and how much data it is not able to identify as well. So once you do run it, okay, how that shows. So good thing about Data Cloud is all of that phases that I'm mentioning is it is an order. It starts with data stream, data lake object, data model. Explorer is where you want to see the data about whatever things that you have ingested. So from then the identity resolution, you set up your rules here, and you can then identify and see the unique records here. Okay, but let's say I want to do the identity resolution. So it will give you, let me do a new one for you guys. Default, let's say on individual, rule set, next. Else. Next. All of these wizards are point and click. So Data Cloud, if your business cases does require very less of coding, but there are some set functions and things that Data Cloud calls. Okay. So now we are in an identity resolution on an individual object. So what I'm doing is, I think they have rule instructions. Something might have changed. Okay. I might have to create some rule sets in the background, but no issues. Okay, but hope you guys get the gesture, right? If you want to create something, all you have to do some add criteria and something like that here. There's some things that I need to set up in the background that might take a bit more time. So yeah. So okay, so once you have these matching rules and criteria set, because Salesforce have just updated Data Cloud again just a week back. Okay, what will happen is, so you have your single view of your customer established. Okay, now you go into your other phase is analyze and predict. Is where you do analysis on the real-time data or where you do analysis of a large chunk of data. That is generally divided into two parts: calculated insight and streaming insight. Streaming insight, I just say streaming data is a real-time insight about a customer. Calculated is looking at a larger window. Okay. So this is a place where you're building multi-dimensional calculations, a lot chunkier calculations to understand how your data is performing, what is your relevant information is. So once you have all of these established, then you will be able to perform some actions at the later stage. This setup is again a drag and drop setup. So what you will have to do is, let's say I have a sales order object. Okay, all I have to do is search for sales order, drag that to my window, then perform a join between an individual object. Why? Because I want to understand, okay, my sales order should be connected to a unique customer. Okay, so that having that unique customer link, then performing your aggregate queries to, okay, count total sales orders, okay, count the total purchase, count total discounts on that given to that person, something like that, and then apply filters. So it will give you a report kind of in view about a customer, where you can understand about, okay, the lifetime value of a customer, the frequency of the person who is shopping, their satisfaction scores, their engagement scores, something like that. Okay, so once you have this base calculation done, what you will do for this calculation rate or streaming insight is, now you want to perform an action. Streaming insights or real-time data can directly be given to an action to be performed. For batch, a large chunk of data, which generally is sent to something called segmentation, which is part of something activation phase, which is where we are acting on the data, is where we actually again group the data. So now I have a, let's say, highest spend of a customer by ranking, but I want to again group that data to only specific records or specific values or specific number of customers. So grouping these things again is generally segmentation before we send it out to different systems or customers. Okay. Okay. So just a brief difference about calculated and streaming insights, which is bulk data insights and real-time data insights. Right? You can perform, if you want to have a really complex calculations and things like that. Generally, batch calculations, calculated insights are much better. If you have a really not so complex process, a real-time application where you're not performing too much real-time configurations and calculations, streaming insights is the way to go for it. Okay, and the one more thing is, you have a limited set of functions available in your SQL language, SQL language, and in batch level, you get a wider uh, expressions and functions available to you to be performed. Okay. And one more thing to consider, when you are considering real-time data, it will only be considered limited to real and person information. But in batch data, you can relate it to any data. Okay. So let's say I have my data analyzed and everything done. Now, what I said before, I'm generally sending this data to segments again before just acting before on that data. So this is the last step of our data cloud where we segment the data into different groups to be acted upon. Okay. So want to create a group of customers. So like segmentation is a process where we are selecting different profiles that shares common details, basically. So in this step, you can see what we are doing. This is again a drag and drop wizard. It comes something related to a report wizard if something people have seen. So let's say I have an email engagement. I'm running this scenario. I want to see this. What I'm doing here, this step is I'm saying, okay, my emails, at least the person has a 2 engagements. Okay, not have done the uh, last email date to last 30 days, and their action channel is open. So you have in segmentation something called container where you set your criteria. Okay, which object and at least what is your criteria, or at most on different kind of filters are there, and then you add your filter criteria, which is your attribute criteria. You can also create different containers, just add different container on bottom layer to make more conditions and more segments. You can apply and or operations and decide how they are working. Okay. So once you have this grouping done, right, you have organized your profiles into different groups, which we generally say segments, right? Then you pass it to different activations. So to process and deliver the segments that we have developed, and to be pushed out to marketing cloud, to be pushed out to sales cloud, to be pushed out back to Google server or Amazon S3 server or different server that we have connected to. So letting them know, or updating their data and giving them the important data back to them. Okay. How this happens is this was if you have calculated insight. I think I have not created one here. Okay. So let's say I want to create a new calculated insight. You can also create it by directly creating through an SQL. We'll be doing it through a builder. You can also deploy a package. You can do a data kit. Data kit is basically, if you have done the similar configuration in some other data cloud, you can deploy these configurations, or those deployable configurations from one data cloud to another is called data kits, basically. I wanted to create a weather builder. Again, I can decide between what I want to do, a batch process or what. Okay, let's say I want to do an account. Next, I want to say, okay, account. Okay, something is getting into data cloud. Let's say, okay, I have to try. Don't have booking. Individual. Okay, I want to perform and join. So you can see in this below step as well, there's a list of functions that is available for you to transform your data. So you don't really have to do something. Whatever you want to do, you can just directly select what you want to do and perform. At this step, I want to say, okay, I want to do an aggregate. What my filter criteria will be was the sum of lagly different, okay, count. Okay, if I have a different personnel, whatever I want to do, I can perform a measure test. Come on. First. And dimensions can be, I want to perform different filter based on that. So similarly, you can perform different operations. This might take a bit more time to if I do the full setup, but yeah. So similarly, if you have now created some calculated insights, what it will do is we can also go in your segments, or either you can do something, right? You can create new segments with already created calculated insights, or you can or do all your calculation into segments as well. Generally, the best approach for is to do one more calculation, then build on top of an calculation, right? In segments, there's one more thing available is if your filter criteria is if you're including filter criteria, you can also build an excluding. Okay, if I don't want particular value, okay, not more than 5,000, so you can also build the criteria here, and you can do your including filters and excluding filters at the same time. Okay, let us go. Just go. Not equals to has value done. So just simple, you can keep on adding and dropping stuff, and it will build a filter for you. Has no value, whatever is that. So you can just keep and drag and drop. It will, based on your criteria, it will build a filter for you. Okay, so now you have done this. What you will do is generally we create and link them through an activation. If there might be an activation, then let's say I've created it to link this segments to a marketing cloud. So the moment I say publish, what it will happen is that will be pushed to an marketing cloud, the data that I'm sending here. So that is your activation. You might be doing a small setup, like just click new which system you want to connect to. Yeah, activation target is the with system, and activation is basically just connecting. So basically, the targets is where you define what target system it is. Okay. Okay. This brings our end to the whole setup process for Data Cloud. So this is a general overview. There are a lot of limitations and things that runs in the background and things that you can consider, but this is the basic view of how you do implement a Data Cloud. Okay, and what Data Cloud is. These are few important links. If someone wants to take a link, a screenshot, I'll share the slide with Swati as well, so she can share it with you later. So the good thing about it says this is a Quip link. Quip link has a lot of details. The link below it is the video library. So Salesforce did their own Data Cloud sessions. I think they did multiple times, and there's like I think 20 hours worth of Data Cloud videos there about Data Cloud. There's also a trail mix. Earlier it used to be PLC course, but there's a trail mix to do a Data Cloud available. You can follow this. And if someone is preparing for a certification, I will definitely tell them go through the help documentation. It's not a big documentation, but a lot of questions and key pointers which are not mentioned in trail mixes generally are available in the documentation. The keywords that they pick for the exams. If you do go through the help documentation, it will be quite easy for you. Yeah, any questions at this point?
If you have any questions, you can put into the chat window. Or you can directly unmute yourself and ask if you have any questions.
Yeah. There's one question that I've generally come across very often as well. Is something related to customers. Like customers want to say that, okay, I have implemented a Snowflake, I have already implemented this or that, I have a MDM where I have data coming from. Why do I need Sales Cloud? Sorry, Data Cloud. This one good thing is what Salesforce have done is Salesforce have enabled free credits to all of the organizations which have Salesforce licenses. Either it can be an enterprise or a different license or an unlimited one. So let's say an enterprise license comes with a 2.5 million worth of credits, and say like in Data Cloud, it does not deals with licenses more. It deals more with the credits, how you utilize your credits. So one credit in a general sense, let's say, is equal to 2,000 records. So getting your 2.5 million free credits for an enterprise license company will be, you can still do an implementation, see, and you can analyze and see how beneficial it is, because there's a lot of Einstein analysis that runs in the background in the Data Cloud to help you analyze the data for free initially. And if it does work out for you, if some client is hesitant, you can even show in the demo that this how it is beneficial for them, right? Yeah. And there's one more thing that I've recently come across, which was not there previously when I started with Data Cloud, is a good integration with Snowflake. Snowflake is really good warehouse system. Salesforce also has identified that it is a really good warehouse, data warehouse, but it is just a data warehouse. So data cloud is not supposed to be your only warehouse of your data. It is always also supposed to be a tool which does your analysis and calculation and acting upon that data. So those features to act upon on the data is not enabled anywhere other than data cloud. To understand your data more, to develop more metrics to understand your customer more, right? So Salesforce have done is that, okay, you are connecting all of your data to Snowflake, then better you can keep your data there. You can directly connect that data, all of data warehouse data, to Salesforce Data Cloud, which is a feature something called Data Cloud introduced, is your bring your own data model. So you can also deploy the data model from say Snowflake directly into Data Cloud and start manipulating and analyzing it again. Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? You can ask here. We have some more minutes, 5 to 7 minutes we have before we end this session. So if you have any questions, you can just ask. Okay, so we don't have any questions. So thank you so much, Spursh, for a wonderful session. Personally, I think me and other people have also got to know various things about data cloud. And these days, many people are learning about data cloud and they are preparing for certifications. So definitely, you have shared some links and a brief description about data cloud and how it works. So thank you so much, Spursh, for taking out time.
Thank you.
Yes, Ria, please go on.
Just not a question, but thank you. That was quite clear and concise. It was a good session. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Spursh. So we can just end session. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you.